Okay, I will lecture today is about paradigm. Okay, paradigm is a specific collection of concept and practice. Okay, you learn about C, you learn about Java, you learn about PHP. They are different in terms of concept. Okay, concept and practice. Right. You learn about C, their style of programming is different. Right, style of programming is different. You learn about Java, they are another style of writing the code. Right. They are similar but different some kind of context we call context, especially we call concept and practice. Okay, a paradigm define a collection of concept and practice that define a field of science. A paradigm will orientate how you approach a problem. Okay, the technique you use and then the structure of your solution. Okay, this is we call paradigm. The way that the programming language express itself, the style of programming itself is we call paradigm. Okay, based on the concept and practice. Okay, we can say that one programming language can be multiple paradigm. One programming language they able to write in many paradigm. For example, you learn about PHP, right? PHP can write in procedural code, okay, structured code, can be write in object oriented, can be write in terms of function. Okay, they all combine together. You can use separate paradigm or you can combine it together. It depends on the objective that we want to write the code. Okay, let's see one by one. Okay, paradigm, we can define paradigm to be three type of paradigm. They are imperative, declarative, and logic. Imperative programming paradigm is about instructing the computer on what it must do exactly at each step using specific command. Okay, you want to say go, go, move, move. This is we call imperative. Okay, there's now right now today we find a few programming language that coding like that. Okay, especially machine code programming. Okay, for example, this one 0 and 1. You can write the code in 0 and 1. Yeah, nice. There are still until now that people like to coding use 0 and 1. You know it. Okay, I don't know how to do it. Okay, but it's interesting to try. Okay, you want to try to say hello in 0 and 1. How to say? Yeah, it should be some kind of. You have to remember the machine code, right? This is why they create some kind of what we call high level programming language that human can write the coding and then translate to machine code. Okay, for example, imperative programming language, for example, this one CP for copy, MOV move, CMP from compare. This is a kind of assembly. Okay, assembly language. Okay, that the programming that near to machine code, right? Assembly language. They use this one CP, MOV, CMP, something like this. Short term, without any function, without any what we call object oriented, not define any object. Okay, they exactly. If I want to copy one thing to be another thing, one thing to another place, we use copy. Okay, CP. If we want to move, use move. If you want to compare, use CMP. Something like this. This we call imperative programming language. Okay. Another imperative kind of programming language is we call structure programming language. Okay, structure programming language. From this, the simple machine code programming language, this is difficult to what we call from assembly. Difficult to what we call to arrange to make it more conditioned, right? If you want to compare, you have to compare. For example, you want to do 10 times. What you have to do? You have to write this code for 10 times. Okay. 10 times. Also, we don't want to do something repeat and repeat again. Right? We want to do something in short, but can be working for us. For example, you want to print 100 lines. For example, you have to write print 100 lines, right? Print 1, print 2, print 3 until 100, right? If you use 4, for example, you can what we call define that for I equal to 10, right? For I equal to 100, and then it can be print to 100. This is we call a structure program. Make that assembly language, that thing that CP move and compare in terms more structure. Okay, more structure to be more what we call shorter the code. Okay, shorter the code, but we got the same result, the same result that we need. Okay, Procedural. Okay, procedural. It allows code to be organized into procedure. Okay, it's in procedural. It can be a called function. Okay, this is the main thing. Okay, called function. Okay, procedure style. You can create function one, function method, and then plus the name of function, because this is the procedural. Okay, most of programming that you written in the PHP, you can see that you written in structure programming language and then procedural programming language. Okay, if you want to move to a little bit more, you have to learn about. You have to move to a little bit advanced. You have to move to object-oriented programming paradigm. Okay, right now you create a function. For example, you learn about C. You create a function. Okay, function calculate area A, for example, right? And then you insert what we call the instruction inside that function, and then you call that function to use it. This is what we call procedural programming language. Okay. The programming language that procedural is we can see here basic Pascal or C. This is the support the procedural programming language. Okay, declarative. Okay, another type of programming paradigm. Okay. Declarative programming paradigm make you set your desired result without dealing with every single intricate step that gets you there. It's about declaring what you want and not about how you want it done. Okay, it declares about what you want, not about how it done. Okay, I don't care about how it done, but I want this thing. This is about declarative. In many scenario, this allow program to be much shorter and simpler. They are often also easier to read. Okay, this is declarative. The main thing is about okay, this one. It's about declaring what you want. Okay, not how you want it done. Okay. For example, you don't want to express many times, right? For example, in imperative, you have to declare one by one. You want to print one, print two, print 100, something like this. But in declarative, you don't want to do that. I don't want to how to do it, but I want this one. For example, declarative functional programming paradigm. Okay, we can say that functional first class citizen in functional paradigm. Okay, this one. If you learn about new paradigm, this one is become the famous one nowadays. Functional programming language. You have lambda, map, reduce, filter, especially in terms of big data and AI. They are using a lot of this thing. Okay. Definition that I'm giving here in the functional programming paradigm, the function are more than just procedure. Okay. They are used to declare the relationship between two or more items, much like equation. Okay, math equation. They are treated to the same way as any other primitive data type, such as string and number. Okay, this is functional programming. So you declare by using a function. They are what we call specific first-class citizen in functional programming. There are a specific function in functional programming that you can use, like a lambda, map, reduce, and filter. That is not available in what we call in another paradigm except functional only. This is an example of programming language that support functional programming language, including PHP, also Python, Lua, something like that, Go. Yes, Java also support for functional programming language, but not 100% support. For example, in PHP, okay, they support just only some kind of function. Okay, some kind of function of functional programming. Okay, logic. Okay, if you want to, this is a high-level programming language. Okay, they do not express by syntax, but they express by logic formula. Okay, it near to a formula of mathematics. Okay, in terms of logic, if you say here a set of logic formulas, the coder express logical assertion about situation. Okay, it coding a logic based on the situation. Okay, based on the situation. Programming itself, it keep a minimum. Only fact and statement and query are presented to the computer. Artificial intelligence and natural language processing using this way. Okay, we do not coding say that for I equal to something like this, not like that, but we express the fact, okay? For the fact, for example, I say brother one, I have two brother, for example, I have two brother, okay? And then if I say that my brother have another brother, okay, that brother is my brother too. This is a logic, okay? It's called logic, okay? For example, you are my student, okay? You are my student. If someone say to you that Ajahn Khalid is my lecturer, so you are both are my student, okay? This is we call logic programming, okay? There are unfamiliar programming language that support for logic, for example, Prolog, Datalog, something like this, okay? They are using in terms of artificial intelligence and natural language processing. You can see nowadays, especially bot chatting, okay? Bot chatting, the Google Translation, they are not using normal programming language to do that behind the scene, okay? They are using, mostly they are using logic to understand the sentence that you try to translate, okay, from one language to another, okay? So they are trying to use the logic programming language to do that, to help to achieve that something that near to what we call human speaking, okay, human speaking. Okay, the most interesting and then the widely used programming paradigm today is object oriented programming, okay? Different programming paradigm, different style of writing, but listening from the beginning to here, this is the what we call evolution of programming paradigm, where they start, where they up to now, okay? Object-oriented programming, okay? Remember that object-oriented programming, they are sharing the same thing, whatever programming language, okay? Whatever programming language. If you learn object-oriented programming, we are talking the same thing, okay? We are talking the same thing as like you said about web programming, okay? If we talk about web programming, mean that it's about web, whatever programming language you use, our target is about web. If we talk about object-oriented programming, it's about uh, empowering, try to implement the concept of object-oriented programming in that programming language, whatever programming language, C++, Java, Python, or PHP, or whatever. Okay. In terms of object-oriented programming, this is the main thing because the project right now, we can say that many of code nowadays is written using object-oriented, especially for project that need some kind of high management in terms of coding. Okay, in terms of coding, when they code when they code become more complex, more bigger and bigger, they need something that manage their code. One thing that can manage the code and then make code readable, okay, make code readable, especially for readable. We use object-oriented programming, okay. Object-oriented programming is based on concept of object, okay. The object can be anything around us, right? Pencil, pen, mouse, computer, person, okay. Your wife also, okay. If you learn about is your wife or your object also, okay. Everything will be object, okay. Remember, just only object that we represent here. Our God is not object, okay? Remember it. Okay. Some book they said our God is object, okay? Please remember this one. The object of our God is not object. Our God is a God, okay? Our Allah is Allah, okay? Not object. Object, we can say everything about makhluk, okay? Everything about makhluk, about creation, okay? Creation, we can say object, which contain data, okay, and code, okay. It should be contain data and code, okay. Um, the data, we can say the data in form of field known as attribute or property, okay. The code in term of method, okay, in term of method. So we can say that object-oriented programming is represented in terms of object, and then object represent in two kind of form. Okay, it represent in us about data and code. Okay, the code is about attribute, okay, or property. Okay, another some kind they call attribute, sometimes they call properties, and the code is a method. Okay, method. If we look at object-oriented Object-oriented programming languages that support object-oriented programming typically use inheritance or for code reuse. Okay, the main challenge of object-oriented programming is code reuse. When you write a code and then you try to reuse it again, use it again and again, we call code reuse. Okay, it will make our code is more flexible. Okay, flexible. For example, you purchase a car, okay, and then reuse again day by day. We call code reuse. Okay, code reuse. We do not purchase a car today and then you throw away for tomorrow and then you purchase again next tomorrow, right? Okay, I think you not do like that. That's why they represent object-oriented is nearly to our daily life. Okay, we could reuse. Okay, and extensibility in form of other classes. Okay, reuse again in terms of classes. For example, you create one class. Okay, you can extend for many objects. Okay, for example, you create a class of what we call a class of building, for example, architecture of building, right? You can reuse it again. This is many books. They represent the example like that, right? You click one, it can be reused many times. Okay, they represent in terms of class. Okay, class the definition for data format. Okay, and available procedure for a given type of class and object may also contain data and procedures known as class method themselves, i.e., example as classes contain the data member and member function. Okay, data mean property or attribute. Okay, the member function mean method. Okay, member function method. Function in object oriented we call method. Okay, we call method. From the class, okay, for example, one class, a class of person, right? We can create from many person. Okay, we can create for many persons. For example, we call it object. Okay, one person, one class of person can create for many objects. Okay, for example, I say class human. Okay, I say class human. Okay, the object of class human can be Muhammad, can be Khalid, can be Yusuf. Okay, this one we call object from the class. The class is human. We say the property of human is what?
Tall, length,
Yeah, tall, length. We got brain. Okay, we got
weight,
brain. We have eye. We have ear. We have mouth. This is a property. And then the function is we can walk. Right? We can talk. We can think.
run.
Okay, we can run. Something that we call a property. Okay. All these things we can say that this is human. Okay, they're just human. So in the object, for example, we create an object from class named as Muhammad, named as Khalid, named as Yusuf, for example. Consists of those property and those method also. Okay, this is object oriented programming. Okay, this is real thing that when we do the object-oriented programming, okay, we define the class, okay, class diagram. This is what we call class diagram, the left-hand side, okay, class diagram, and then we can convert it to be a code, okay, to be a code according to the diagram, okay. Here, for example, here we have three classes, okay, class 1, class 2, class 3, okay. We can generate the code to be class 1, class 2, class 3, okay. Or from the code, you can make the class diagram. Okay, from the code, from the programming language here, you can make the class diagram. Okay, if you are drawing the class diagram properly, you can generate the code. You don't need to write any single line of code. Okay, you can generate the code. If you write the code properly, okay, then you do some kind of extend. For example, this one they use extend. Mean the extend. Inherit, okay, inherit means they take the property, okay, the method from the first class and then to be its class, okay, to be its own class. This one, okay, the same thing, okay. Diagram and code, right? They are synchronized, okay, synchronized. If you draw the class diagram properly in the correct way, according to the UML standard, okay, you can generate the code like this without writing any code. Okay, if you write code like this and then you can generate to be a class diagram. Okay, there are a tool that support for this. Okay, to for that support for this. That is for today that we want to discuss.